A new Minecraft update is coming, which means it is Snapshot season, and we've been given some new interesting features. And the one that I've received about 1 billion messages about is the fact that they have added some redstone functionality to the decorated pot. How useful is the redstone functionality? Well, I'm going to try my best to find out today. One thing I will say is, though, it's incredibly satisfying. It is so cool being able to play with things and also have storage containers that don't necessarily have a GUI element. I mean, I can't stop clicking. Seriously, somebody send help. For anyone who's missed the snapshots, let me quickly explain what the decorated pot does. It stores up to 1 stack of a single item. So right now, I'm right-clicking chests. They're being stored inside the pot. If I try and put anything else in there, it won't be able to go in. Now, because there's no GUI, you can't actually access the items without breaking the pot, and you can do this by either punching it or firing a projectile at it, which is considerably more satisfying. Now, because the decorated pots can only store 1 type of item at a time, a lot of people assume that they would completely revolutionize item filters, but unfortunately, item filters rely on the fact that hoppers can push items as well as pull items. These hoppers up at the top are pushing the items across, these hoppers down below are trying to pull the items down, and when an item in this hopper here matches up with this hopper, it will be able to be pulled down. A decorated pot ain't doing no pulling, ain't doing no pushing, it's just doing a whole bunch of storing. The only way to create some form of item filter with decorated pots is to use alternate powering of hoppers to allow the items to go into the decorated pots, which seems very exciting, if not a little bit bulky, but it's not immediately practical because you can't actually access the items without breaking the pots. And more importantly, the exact same circuitry can be used to sort items into chests that are filled with various different types of items, and it gives you much more options for storage. So let's move on to the fact that these things give out redstone signal strength depending on how filled they are. That might be useful. So let's see, we've got a little setup here which should shoot an item into our pot, and every single time the item goes into the pot, it gives out a redstone signal strength. Okay, and if I have 3 different types of item in there, one that stacks, one that can't stack, and one that stacks in 16, what redstone signal strengths do we get? So we get a signal strength of 1 for the redstone, we get a full signal strength for the sword, and it looks like, unless you've been really unlucky with the snowball, yeah, the snowball only gives a redstone output of 1 as well. But it makes sense that it only give a signal strength of 1 because there's more snowballs in a stack of 16 than there are redstone power levels. There are 15 power levels, just in case you didn't know. Which then raises the question, what happens if we fill this thing up with snowballs? Is it going to skip 1? Yes. So it skipped 1 there, which makes sense, but also means we can't use it as an easy counter, and it can't be used as a randomizer because it doesn't differentiate between stackable, non-stackable, and 16 stackable. Use cases are starting to look quite sparse here, but then I had a brainwave. What if, instead of wanting to sort items into specific chests, you just wanted to separate items into a bunch of different chests? I call it the any item separator. So the items go into the top here and then feed into this decorated pot and then come out through this hopper. This hopper is locked for a little while to allow the items to actually fill up the decorated pot a tiny bit, and then unlocks, so then we have a constant stream of just 1 type of item. Now I'm incredibly curious, will we be able to see when the type of item switches? We do, and now we have a redstone clock. And that's... I know why that is. It didn't do the lock and unlock thing fast enough on the item switchover. I'm making this so much more complicated than it has to be, but I think this should all work. Essentially, it prevents any items from coming into the decorated pot while there are no items in the pot until the hopper underneath unlocks, and then it allows them to come in. Let's see. So I just put in a bunch of redstone dust. Let's reduce that. And then when the redstone dust runs out, comparators turn off, and now it's doing the snowballs. Okay, so if I now just hook this up to a shulker box dispenser and breaker, the system should then separate different items into different shulker boxes. This is what the redstone looks like. And now I'm going to take all these different types of items, and I'm going to chuck them into this chest here. And they should all be separated into different shulker boxes, making use of the decorated pot. So let's take a look. Okay, this is a very solid start. I'm really nervous for some reason. I don't know why I'm so scared. Okay, yeah, everything seems to be working. So that is 32 redstone torches. Oh, that was a fast one. 4 blocks of redstone. There's the 2 targets there. And then this should be the 64 levers. There it is. Okay, it was 36. Was it 36? I think it was. In my excitement, I forgot what items I put in because this seems to actually be weirdly working. So just to quickly clarify, this system takes any items that you like, and then it stores them inside of shulker boxes. It doesn't matter what the items are, it will just take those items and it will separate them into separate ones. I definitely should have used less items. This is taking forever. Despite this, I have just added 3 stacks of redstone blocks because I want to make sure that multiple stacks work in the system. And of course they do. And of course, this thing is really satisfying. I don't know how to describe it. There's something really cool about it. Is it useful? I don't know. I really don't know, but it seems cool. And to my very small brain, I can't think of a way that we could have done this previously. The only issue is if you put in, say, redstone dust and then repeaters and then redstone dust here, I imagine you're going to end up with 2 separate shulker boxes with just 1 stack of redstone dust in it. My first attempt at fixing this did not go to plan whatsoever, but I still have hope that I can come to a solution here, and that is using the chest boat, which I have just accidentally ridden. That's not a good start. And to top it all off, it still didn't work. And then my new idea of combining droppers with chest boats also didn't work, so I scrapped it all and went back to the original design. Now, in my attempts to solve this problem, I actually came up with an idea that could work without the use of decorative pots, but I can't make it function. So as of right now, I think the only way that we can separate a random bunch of items into separate containers based on item type with no defined item sorters is by using the decorative pot. That might just be the most niche use case for a new redstone feature I've ever seen. But there is something slightly less niche. Decorative pots are just really good at creating hidden entrances. The fact that it has no GUI just speeds up the whole process, makes everything work incredibly quickly. There's no opening of chests or pressing of buttons or anything. You just walk past, right click, and go through your doorway. Anything that isn't the specific item is just automatically rejected by the system, which is very cool. Decorative pots are very cool. As far as I can tell, extremely limited redstone functionality, but this game was not made for redstone people. It was made to be fun, it was made to be varied, it was made to be immersive, and I would say that decorative pots are another step in that direction. I couldn't leave it alone. I am trying my hardest here to make something function, and I cannot do it. And it is driving me insane. It seems so simple. There must be a way. There must be a way for me to deal with the different item order problem, but I cannot think of it. I've spent the entire afternoon trying all sorts of different designs. I have an idea how one might work. Instead of feeding it with hoppers, I instead feed it with droppers that are constantly firing, trying to get the items into the thing, but then I can't work out how to get the items into the droppers fast enough, and it would take an entirely different bottom setup, and I'm not even sure why I've spent so long working on this, because I'm not even 100% certain that it's even useful or meaningful to Minecraft at all. I think I've started to go slightly insane. Somebody please send help. Somebody please send me a working design of what I've come up with here before I sort myself into a shulker box, and I'm not even sure what that means.